Hello, people. Catchphrase pending. Should probably get a new one. I'm sick of it already after 2 whole episodes. But anyways, I'm going to start off the show a little differently now with a new segment I like to call Beer of the Week. I'm not going to do it every week because I can't afford beer every week. But in this segment, I'm going to open a beer, I'm going to drink it, and I'm going to rate it, I guess. I don't know. Sounds like fun. Mostly because I get to drink beer. And you get to watch me drink beer. I'm sure that's why you all came here. So today's beer is from Bonfire Brewing in Eagle, Colorado. I like craft beer, so that sounds good. I've had several things from this brewery, and they've all been good so far. This is called Brush Creek Blonde Ale. I've not had this one yet. Kind of came out with a lot of head. That's a 12-ounce can, and this is a 20 or 22-ounce mug, and it's almost all the way up to the top. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but it's a lot of head. I noticed that's a recurring theme with this brewery for some reason. Several of their beers come out with kind of a lot of head. But if that's what you're into, some people like head, I guess. Anyway. It's not bad. Very light, refreshing, as blondes are mostly meant to be. A little hoppy, a little citrusy. Not too bad. I'm going to be drinking that through the rest of the episode because I'm not going to waste it. I like beer. Before we get started, cheers to you for watching my video, and cheers to me for buying this beer for myself. Without further ado, as the cliche slogan suggests, the top 5 features of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that excite me most. I'm wearing my Zelda hat. Go me. For this list, I'm not going to go in exact order because all of these points excite me for completely different reasons, and I would be hard-pressed to say whether or not most of these points generate greater excitement than the others. I'll jump right in with my cheesy reason and get it out of the way. Number 5, order notwithstanding. Playing with my kids. Yep, as I said, it's cheesy, but one of the coolest things about Breath of the Wild for me personally is it will likely be my son's first Zelda game, and in fact his first fully realized video game. With my second child due this month, and the first turning 3, and about the same time Breath of the Wild is scheduled to come out, I believe this game will be a stupendous starting point for his gaming career, and eventually a monumental milestone for my Geek on the Way. The Zelda series has held my attention since I was a child, and from personal experience, I can proudly profess that it has made many a positive impact on my life, and I can't wait to see where the marvelous magic which comprises this fantastic franchise will take my children. Number 4. Order notwithstanding. Rupees matter. In previous titles, the classic currency of Hyrule has been useful in early gameplay, but around halfway through any given Zelda game, they become superfluous. The only major exception to this, of course, is A Link Between Worlds, where the item rental system made good use of rupees. However, to me, it had a negative impact on the game overall. With the ability to trade rupees for every useful item in the game, dungeons had to be set to a medium difficulty so the player could complete them in any order. This did away with the linearity of the story. However, it also made the last few dungeons excruciatingly easy due to low difficulty and an overabundance of heart containers. So the question presents itself, how should we make rupees useful without handing the game on a silver dish? Well, it's difficult to say at this point, but from what we're seeing from the E3 demo, rupees are scarcely given away as treasure and are mostly gained by selling excess gear to vendors. We've seen this work very well in many other RPGs before, and the most popular relation is probably going to be the Elder Scrolls series. If a similar trade system is in place, rupees will finally feel like real money, which in our world is a very important thing, so why not in the world of Hyrule? In addition to this, many are speculating an item upgrade system similar to that of Skyward Sword, which would mean that sometimes you might have to choose between one item or purchasing another, upgrading one item or purchasing another, I should say. The impact this has on gameplay could be drastic, and it will affect each player differently. As we've seen that's one of the major motivations moving the production team over at Nintendo. In the end, rupees may seem like a small part of the game, but with a proper balance of the in-game economy, that would go a long way to breathing life into Breath of the Wild. Beer time. I should make a drinking game out of my videos. Every time I drink, you drink twice. Or every time I drink twice. So I just drank twice, so I get to drink 4 more times. Anyway, moving on. Number 3. Order notwithstanding. Open world sandbox. Eiji Aonuma may have put it best. Open air. We've heard many terms for this kind of game, but never associated them with Zelda or any Nintendo title. Since the release of Twilight Princess, I have been begging, and to an extent expecting, this logical jump forward in the series. Twilight Princess had a very large map, but many content critics crucify it for being relatively empty. There were many hidden treasures in every area, but towns were few and far between, not to mention usually underpopulated. Kakariko Village, for example, had its population tripled with the arrival of the Ordonian children, and this was not necessarily a concern of mine, since every character there did have some significant impact on the story, and it didn't detract from the masterpiece that I consider it to be. My capital concern was that the world was made of segmented sections, conjoined only by bottlenecking the player through canyons, caves, or over bridges. The sections were disjointed and disruptive, not to mention a nonsensical nuisance. Even at launch, I felt like Link should be able to reach the in-between areas. Keeping this in mind, Twilight Princess is still the closest example the Zelda series has to an open-air world, and that's only possibly accepting Wind Waker. But that world is roughly 95% water, so it's difficult to judge. Combining this world design with the franchise staple of exploration is not only necessary to push the series forward, but a logical leap in the evolution of The Legend of Zelda. Go away, cat. Sorry. I'll edit that out, maybe. Or I'll leave it in. Just to bug people. Beyond just exploration, for me to consider it truly open air, the world must feel alive. It will become more clear how much life is truly in this game as we draw closer to the release date, but relying only on the info we have, there is still plenty of evidence to suggest Breath of the Wild will deliver just what we're looking for. From combustible terrains to camps of monsters instead of randomly placed mobs, the demo from E3 has shown us a level of realism seldom touched by the gaming world. The only question one might pose would be that of towns and their inhabitants. For the world to truly feel alive, I'd like to see an interaction with every character, even the superficial schmoes aimlessly meandering through town. I'm not sure if we'll reach the Morrowind level of character interaction, but from what I've seen, I believe it will be on par with the other games of today's standards. Moving on to number 2, order notwithstanding. Overworld bosses. Bosses are awesome. And seeing Step Talus, or the giant Stalfos thing, or whatever that was at the start of the trailer, that excites me more than any pre-game release boss reveal ever has. My favorite moment in Skyward Sword, for example, was searching an area, I found Moldarak, a boss from a previous dungeon just sitting at the bottom of this seemingly unimportant area. It surprised me, but frankly I'm not sure it should have. If bosses are just that, leaders of these monster mobs, why do they just sit around waiting in their bleak basement of the dungeon? There's no reason they can't walk around and do whatever they want, is there? This idea has been used before, but not often in the Zelda series. Games like World of Warcraft use them as a challenging way to spice up their worlds with more content, and Zelda will take this to the next level, with the idea in mind that there are multiple methods of mauling your enemies. Bosses are going to be phenomenal fun and different each time you face them. Plus, just finding these massive monstrosities should prove enjoyable for challenge lovers and completionists. This edition will increase replay value and, as Mr. Aonuma said, add that Western spice to the game. Finally, number 1. I had a theme song last week, but it sucked. But then I kept it, and I think that was the same theme song. Okay, so I'm going to take a drink. You take 2 drinks, and I take 2 drinks. That's how the game is played, I think. Alright. Well, going back, number 1. Order withstanding this time. I said I wasn't going to go in order, and I sort of lied. Most of those things were hard to judge, as I said, but this is truly the one thing that excites me most about Breath of the Wild, and it can be boiled down to 2 simple letters. N, X. I've forgotten how to do X in sign language. Call me a heathen, but I intend to immediately immerse myself in the NX version of this game. Many fans have been lamenting the dual release, arguing that the Wii U deserves an exclusive Zelda title. Let me start by saying I agree. The Wii U is among my favorite consoles of all time, and it absolutely has enough going for it to support a big title on its own, technically speaking. Unfortunately, the time frame for it to do so has passed. The Wii U is far too far into its life cycle, and it has never been popular enough to bring in the crowd necessary to support a big game like this. The unfortunate truth is that releasing Zelda as a single console release for Wii U would kill it, and quite possibly my favorite franchise. Gamers will not buy a system for a single game within 6 months of that system's production run coming to an end. There was a time that Breath of the Wild would have sold consoles, but that time is long gone. And instead of living in a world of what could be, I choose to embrace this new system, which we know nigh on nothing about, but what we do know will make for a fantastic upgrade for the game. Blech. Improved graphics are going to be the most obvious selling point, especially with today's gaming crowd. And I am also excited to see the more powerful console play Zelda. How powerful it will be has yet to be determined, but any upgrade to frame rate will add that much to the game fluidity and keep you tethered to the world of Hyrule. In a world like this, choppy errors would break the fourth wall and frequently inform you of your place as the player and not the character. My lone lament for this dual release is going to be the Wii U version suffering from the removal of gamepad controls. Okay, I'm going to put this part in. So I just screwed up this line like 4 times, and I'm going to drink now, okay. I believe the one selling point of the Wii U that attracted me was the ability to play games using the gamepad as my map, using optional touchscreen buttons, and occasionally the gyroscopic controls truly improve the game. However, if we are losing these in favor of a more powerful, graphically superior game that still has its unique gameplay staples, as we've seen so far it's chock full of, I think in the end, none of us will be sad with what will inevitably be a preferable product. Well, that's my top 5. Agree? Don't agree? Think I'm an opinionated nincompoop without proper perception of reality? Let me know in the comments. The purpose of my videos is to inspire thought and create conversation. Please like, subscribe, and share so that more people can get in on the conversation with us. Check out my video next week where I'm going to do who knows what. I have a few ideas for a video, but I have yet to decide which I'm actually going to do. If you have any ideas, feel free to share them, and I'll consider your topics as well. As I was in the first video, I am Sean Michael Patrick Thompson, and I'm going to stop talking now. Catchphrase pending.